play then c5 because they're like, fuck it, I'm gonna play it. I know it. I know. No, you don't know it. No, you don't know it, but you're gonna play it. And after this video, you are going to know it. What is going on, my friends, my ladies and gentlemen, everything in between, cats, dogs, hamsters, little bats flying around, playing chess day and night? I have a new video, and this is a video on how to escape the Sicilian. Because we all hate the Sicilian, but we still play it because we kind of have to. It's like, it's a curse. I think it's a curse. The Sicilian, of course, starts with white playing e4, and we play then c5 because they're like, fuck it, I'm gonna play it. I know it. I know. No, you don't know it. No, you don't know it, but you're gonna play it. And after this video, you are going to know it forever. Amazing. Because listen up. Knight c3, d6, d4, takes, all main line. You've played this. This is the main line. And now you're supposed to play knight f6, and they play knight c3, and we play a6 because we want to prevent bishop b5 check after we play a e5. So you don't want to go there. It's too complicated. And you will never know it because it's too hard, and you don't spend 6 hours a day on chess because you have a job. So we are just going to play e5 on move 4. It's okay. It's fine. They don't know that the critical move is bishop e5 check. They don't know this. If you just look at my games, for example, if you just look at my games, the database of my games, and I am 2100 on chess.com. If we just look at my games, in this position, I played e5 166 times, and they only played bishop b5 check 9 times. So 1 out of 17 games, my opponent knew the best move. So if your rating is not 2100, it's not going to be 1 out of 17, it's going to be 1 out of 50. So therefore you are allowed to play e5 on move 4. You will not encounter bishop b5 check. It's okay. Look, in my database, they played knight c3 more often than bishop e5, which straight up hangs a knight. These were probably bullet games, but you get my point. They don't expect e5 on move 4, and this is the exact moment where they don't know the theory anymore. Whereas you will be an expert on this position because I am going to lay it out for you. And actually, whether they move the knight to b5, whether they drop it back to b3, or whether they move it back to f3, it's gonna be relatively simple for black. We're going to castle. We're going to castle. And we're gonna bring our knight or bishop to e6 and our other knight to d7. And it's all gonna be nice. And we're gonna push some pawns in case they castle queenside. It's gonna be so easy. So watch this video and you will forever have a weapon for the Sicilian. So in this position we play e5, surprising our opponent. And as you can see in the opening tree, they have 4 responses, one of which is bishop b5 check. We're going to discuss this lastly. First, we're going to look at these guys, which is basically moving their knight out of harm's way. So we have retreating knight 1 variation to f3, we have retreating knight 2 variation to b3, and we have the wayward knight. The knight dares to enter our territory, but we just kick it with our pawn. So this looks like a lot of variations to memorize, to learn, but it's gonna be a setup opening for black, a setup opening. So no matter where they move their knight, we are going to play knight f6. Okay, we're going to play knight f6, and we are going to play bishop e7 so that we can castle. That's it. That's it. And we have to play bishop e6 at some point, or knight d7. So I'm going to discuss these three variations one by one, and I'm going to focus on the differences, the small little nuances, why sometimes we play this and sometimes we play that. So let's start with knight to f3, our first variation. As I said, we always start with knight f6, and then they can do a bunch of things, but don't worry about it. The most common move is bishop g5, and now we unpin this knight by playing bishop e7. And now they can take, or they can bring in the other bishop. Let's assume they bring in the other bishop. We counter this threat with our own bishop, and if they take, that's fine. We have an extra center pawn, and if they take our knight, we can just take with the bishop, and if they castle, we castle. Simple, no? So of course there are different variations. Here they can take the knight first, and then they can play bishop c4, but it's the same thing. We castle when we can. And of course they can also play the other knight instead of bishop g5. Doesn't matter. We play bishop e7 and we castle. And a lot of times we are going to play knight d7 to defend this knight from the bishop. It is not wise. It's very bad to play knight d7 here, because they have knight g5 attacking our e6 pawn. So most of the times we play knight d7 in these positions. But if the bishop is not on g5, they can move their knight there. This square is available for the knight. And then our pawn on e6 is in big trouble. Big, massive trouble. This is really bad. So that's why you have to play knight c6. Because if they move their knight, you can just defend the pawn with the queen. So let's look at the second variation, where they drop back their knight to b3 instead of to f3. Now we still bring out our knight to f6, and we still bring our bishop to e7. See how simple this is for us. And if they take the knight, we just take back. And if they bring their bishop to c4, we just castle. And on the next turn, we can create this showdown between the bishops. So we bring our bishop to e6. You could argue that you can play the bishop here first and then castle, but note that if they take our bishop now and we take back, they have this check because this knight is not on f3. Remember before, this knight was on f3, so queen a5 check would not be possible, but now it's possible. And then we have to play g6. And this is already a more complex setup, where we have moved one of our pawns in front of our king. We don't want this. So that's why in this position, I recommend just castling before playing bishop e6. So I'm going to remove bishop e6 from my tree, because we don't want that in our practice mode. So we have one knight move remaining, the wayward knight, where the knight enters our territory. Let's check it out. Knight to g5. Of course, we just kick it with a6, and now they have to retreat, and they occupy actually the square where their other knight has to go. It doesn't matter to us, because we play the same old thing, knight f6, and if they bring their bishop to g5, we unpin the knight, and we castle. And then we bring our other bishop, opposing their bishop that is on c4. And if they take, we take back. That's fine because we have an extra pawn in the center. So let's look at the last variation, the critical response. Bishop to b5 check. And now it is very important that you block this check with the knight. Don't block with the bishop. Okay, and now they play knight to f5, and it is even more important now to play a6, kicking this bishop. And if it retreats, we kick it again, baby. We kick it again. And if they retreat now, we bring in our knight. This adds our queen to the defense of our d6 pawn, and we are attacking this pawn and the bishop. So it's really important multi-purpose move that you have to know. And now if they move their bishop to the center to defend this pawn and to attack this rook and do a lot of things they think is very good, we just take the knight and we allow them to take our rook, because if we take the rook back with our queen and they take our bishop, we have this move coming with tempo because they have to move the rook. And actually this position is equal, maybe even slightly better for black, because it's going to be a bit difficult for them to castle. They have to move a bunch of pieces out of the way before they can castle. And if they move the knight, for example, we can just play b4, and these pawns are already approaching their queen side. So it's not going to be easy for black. For white, I mean. So kick the bishop here. Kick the bishop with the pawn. a6 and b5. Of course, they might take the knight here instead of further retreating with the bishop. Then we just take with the queen, because we want to keep defending the d6 pawn with 2 pieces. It's under attack by 2 pieces. And then we move our queen out of our bishop's way. This is also very important. It's a strange move, because you don't want to move a piece twice in the opening, but just play queen c6. Trust me, you open up this bishop. So now white just castles, and we can take their knight with the bishop because we opened up this diagonal. And if they take back, most of our problems are already solved here. Now there's one last thing you have to remember. In this position, don't bring your knight to f6, because actually if they attack this knight and we play bishop e7 and they take the knight, now they have this outpost for their knight on d5, and there's no way to move this knight. There's no way, because we don't have a knight of our own, and we don't have a light square bishop, and we cannot attack it with any pawns. So that's why, basically, that's why we don't play knight f6 here, but we play knight e7. Also, we are attacking this pawn, so they have to defend this pawn now. So if I look this move up in the opening tree, I'm just gonna remove this one because we don't want to play knight f6. But you have to realize why, because if you don't realize why, you're gonna forget about knight e7 and you're gonna play knight f6. So knight e7, it defends d5. It also attacks the pawn on f5. And if they're gonna defend this pawn with the queen, for example, we can just add an attacker to the pawn by retreating our queen back to d7. Now this square is fine because we're no longer blocking our bishop, and they're gonna have to defend this pawn with another pawn, and they are advancing their pawns in front of their king. It's a bit sketchy for them, and at this point we don't even want to castle here anymore. We're probably gonna castle this side, so we're just gonna play g6. You know, fuck it. And if they take back, we just take back with the f pawn, and they have to retreat their queen, and we can just castle queenside. And this is fine, this is good. Our king is not perfectly safe at this moment. We can play king b8, but their king is also not perfectly safe. They pushed their g pawn way out of their king's way. So it's a very interesting open game, and I suggest if you want to practice this, just practice it against a computer, 1800, 1600, see how far you can get. Maybe you have to play b5 and hope that they will open up the g file for your rook, and you have to find a way to activate your bishop. but you also have to keep guarding this square from their knight. So good luck and have fun. And of course, you can all practice all these variations. You can practice them on inchested.com. Just find the escaping the main line Sicilian with black opening, and you can just press the practice button, and you can start from the starting position, or you can start from the position that you currently have on the board, so you don't have to do everything at once. I also want to say that in the description of this video there's a link to this opening, so you can practice it straight away by clicking this link. And good luck escaping the Sicilian, babies. Have fun.